If your content isn't converting, it's probably because you're selling instead of storytelling. Let that sink in for a second. You can have the best product in the world, the most advanced funnel, and the prettiest logo, and still watch your engagement flatline. Why is that? Because people don't connect with features, they connect through feelings. And the biggest lie entrepreneurs have been sold is that marketing is simply about persuasion, when it's not. Marketing is about meaning, and meaning is what moves people. When you look around online right now, everyone is marketing, but few are connecting. And connection is where conversions happen. And so in this episode, I'm breaking down exactly why your content feels flat and how to tell stories that sell without feeling like you're selling anything at all. We're going to walk you through the 4-part framework I use with my clients to turn stories into sales: pain, problem, possibility, and payoff. It's the same framework that built million-dollar movements, filled coaching calendars, and grew entire agencies. And if you learn it, your content will never be ignored again. I'm Christian Graham, co-founder of Maricross Media and the MK Lab, and business authority coach to 6, 7, and yes, even 8-figure entrepreneurs. And on this channel, we teach you how to build a business that makes impact, income, and influence without losing integrity at all. And if you want to grow a brand that actually means something, you're in the right place. So grab yourself a notebook, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to build content that converts strangers into subscribers, followers into fans, and viewers into clients, all by mastering the language of story. The truth is, we live in the era of the scroll. Every day, billions of people flick their thumbs through oceans of content, right? But here's the truth. They're not looking for another ad because they're looking for themselves. When I first started creating content, I made the same mistake everyone else does. I was focused on presentation, not perspective. I thought, if I just post more, I'll get more notice. But I learned fast. Attention without emotion is just noise. And so one night I looked at my analytics and realized that people were watching my videos, but they weren't really engaging and they weren't really inspired because they're not invested. And that's when it hit me. I was selling strategy when I should have been selling my story, because a story is a mirror. It reflects your audience's pain, reveals the problem, shows them the possibility, and invites them into a payoff, or at least it should be. Let's start at the beginning of that framework: pain. Every sale starts with empathy, not expertise. If your audience doesn't believe you understand them, they won't trust you when you offer to them. The biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is talking about what they do before showing that they understand why it matters in the first place. I'll give you an example of this. When I was running my restaurant, Smacking Woman and Grill, I thought my customers were just buying food, right? They were buying belonging. They were buying a piece of the culture, a memory of home, a feeling of being seen. And that's when I realized people don't just buy products, they buy perspective. So when you create content, don't just start with the product, start with the pain. Paint the scene. What does their everyday struggle really look like? What emotions are tied to it? If you're a coach helping business owners scale, don't open with, "I help entrepreneurs grow." Say, "You ever feel like you're doing everything right? Posting, pitching, praying, and still nobody's buying?" That line alone connects instantly because it meets them where they are. Pain isn't manipulation, it's connection when used ethically. And once you name their pain better than they can, they'll automatically assume you have the solution. But empathy alone doesn't move people to act. And that's where the second P comes in: problem. You see, most entrepreneurs don't actually know the real problem of their audience that they're facing. They describe symptoms: low engagement, inconsistent sales, lack of clarity, but they miss the root cause. And that's why their content doesn't actually convert. Because let's think about this from a doctor's perspective, right? If you misdiagnose the problem, your solution becomes irrelevant. So let me show you what I mean by this. A few years ago, when we started building the MK Lab and MK Media, I started noticing something strange. Our clients didn't just need help with ads or video production, they needed help believing their own story. They thought their business problem was a lack of followers, but the real problem was a lack of focus. They were stuck in the performance trap, trying to prove instead of trying to provide, chasing visibility instead of building value. And so we flipped the script. We stopped promising content that goes viral and started teaching content that creates conversations. Because when you stop performing and start providing, you earn trust. And trust is the highest converting currency on the planet. In marketing psychology, there's a concept called mirror neurons. When someone hears a story, their brain fires as if they're experiencing it for themselves. And that's why storytelling works. It transfers experience. But when you just sell, you reactivate resistance. So in your next video or in your next post, instead of rattling off features, describe the frustration your client feels trying to fix the problem on their own. That's empathy in motion. And empathy is what creates authority. And once you've connected through the pain and clarified the problem, it's time to give them the hope. That's the third P, possibility. This is the bridge to hope. Possibility is where transformation begins. It's the moment you lift your audience's eyes from what is to what could be. But here's the key. You can't oversell it. Inspire without inflating. You see, in business storytelling, possibility isn't fantasy. It's future realism. It's showing the bridge between their current pain and the life that's waiting for them on the other side. And you just happen to be the guide that gets them across. This is where the greatest storyteller in the world ever becomes our blueprint, Jesus. Matthew 13 says he never taught without using parables. Why? Because the truth without story is an information, and information alone doesn't transform. Parables translate eternal principles into earthly pictures. In other words, stories make sense of the struggle at the time. And so when I work with a client on their marketing, I always ask, what's the story? What's the simple story that reveals the deeper truth behind your offer? Because people remember stories long after they forget the strategies. So let me make this practical. Say you're a fitness coach. Instead of saying, I help busy moms lose 20 pounds, tell the story of the mom who couldn't keep up with their kids at the park until she rebuilt her energy through your program. That story paints realistic possibility. Or if you're a leadership consultant, share how one small change in communication helped a team go from burnout to breakthrough. That story becomes your evidence, and the evidence builds belief. Possibility turns belief into action, and inspiration without instruction dies fast. And that's why the final piece is payoff. This is where the story closes the loop. The payoff is not the sale, it's the shift. Because people don't pay for information, they pay for transformation. In storytelling, the payoff is the moment your audience sees themselves in the mirror of success and says, that could be me. And when a client watches your content and feels hope, clarity, or conviction, that's conversion in progress. And let me tell you a real example. One of our agency clients came to us frustrated. She'd been running ads for months with no real traction. We re-engineered her strategy to focus on storytelling instead of selling. We built a simple narrative, her personal why, a client success story, and a behind-the-scenes look at her process. And within 6 weeks, her content started driving inbound DMs from people saying, I feel like you're speaking directly to me. And that's when I knew her story started selling. The payoff wasn't just more leads, it was more loyalty. In behavioral psychology, that's what's called the commitment consistency bias. Once someone publicly identifies with your story, they'll subconsciously seek to stay consistent with your identity, often by buying from you. That's why you can't fake authenticity. It's felt. Here's how you craft your own payoff. Step 1, reveal. Tell the truth about your own process or mistakes, because vulnerability breeds visibility. Step number 2, relate. Connect your experience to theirs. I've been where you are. I know what you're going through right now, right? That's how you connect to their experiences. Step number 3, offer resolve. Offer a tangible next step. Here's what changed for me, and it can change for you. Step number 4, reinforce it. Tie it back to your mission. Remind them why it matters beyond the transaction. That sequence turns your story into a system. Because once you can tell transformational stories, you'll never run out of content. You'll just keep revealing new layers of your own purpose. Now, before we close, let's talk about the shift this creates in your business. When you start storytelling instead of selling, everything changes. Your content feels human again, your audience starts self-qualifying, your brand becomes magnetic and not manipulative, and you stop chasing clients and start choosing them. And that's the ultimate goal, authority through authenticity. So here's your challenge this week. Take one piece of content you've already posted. Maybe it's a reel, a tweet, or a YouTube short, and rewrite it through this lens: pain, problem, possibility, and payoff. Ask yourself, did I show that I understand their pain? Did I identify the real problem? Did I paint a clear possibility? And did I deliver a payoff that invites transformation? If you can check all 4 boxes, your content will convert naturally. No gimmicks, no scripts, no fake urgency. And now, before I let you go, let me leave you with this thought. The world doesn't need more experts or gurus. It needs more storytellers who can turn truth into transformation. Jesus didn't teach for algorithms. He told stories that outlived empires. And if you want your brand to last longer than a trend, you need to learn how to tell stories that speak to their soul. If this video helped you rethink how you create content, I want you to do me a favor. Join my free newsletter, The Turnkey, where every week I share frameworks, marketing psychology, and kingdom-based principles to help you turn your message into a magnetic market movement. Link is in the description. So make sure you go join the community, get the keys, and let's grow together. Till next time, stay blessed, stay grounded, let's grow. Peace.